bookstore, but every time I walk by, I know why I haven't gone. So,
Safety.
I was like, ooh, I like that. It is like not for me. I'll just be buying it like, oh my daughter would like this. Oh my mom would like this. Oh, and I was like, nope. So, but yeah, they have some nice stuff, and we have a full functioning Starbucks now.
In the union?
Mm-hmm. In the union, and it, like you can use your reward points and.
Really?
Oh, yes.
This
So
is Schwank.
we're moving on up. We're
Totally.
excited about that because that was like.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, because people who aren't Starbuckies or whatever we call ourselves, they don't understand the reward points and the how long done of all of that. Yeah, so it's a big deal. All right, are we ready? Okay. Are we live yet? All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the UMKC Women's Center. My name is Natasha Real-Ansari, and I am the director here. Behind the camera, we have Chelsea Duckworth, our amazing program coordinator, and we have our work study students here, graduate assistants, and students and community members that we'll hear from a little bit later from KC Care Clinic who are tabling at the event. It is not too late for you to join us today, so you are still welcome to join us live for our Feminist Fireside chat. It is officially pumpkin season, in my world, sweet potato season, and so we have warm drinks here for you. Coffee and tea, if you want some.
Thank you.
As well as hot chocolate. We always have that available. The Women's Center is located at 5120 Rock Hill Road, 105 Hague Hall. We are open from 9 to 3 on Monday through Thursday. Nope, 9 to 4, Monday through Thursday, and 9 to 3 on Friday. I was mixing that up. So this series that we have, we are asking for women from all walks of life and ties to Kansas City and beyond to come in and talk about their experiences as women, as feminists. And I could not think of a better person to invite than, well, we're not dear friends, but we are dear friends. So it's just, that's what it is.
It's like 6 degrees of
It
separation.
is literally like,
and they're getting closer. Like we're not like 2 degrees,
I
right?
don't even know if it's 6, right?
I don't
So
know.
everybody that I know knows you.
Yeah, and vice versa.
So
Yeah.
it's been really great because that is kind of how feminism works. We end up circling in these areas together. So we have a set of questions, but of course, you all are welcome to ask any questions afterwards, or if you feel the need to ask, just throw your hand up and we'll take those questions right away. Unfortunately, Sloan has to go a little bit early, and I think that it would be great for us to even just kind of touch on that as to why, if you would like to do that as well.
Yeah, so I have to leave a little bit early because I have a friend who is experiencing the gift of hospice, which is helping you end of life with a parent, and she has asked me to join her with her first meeting between her mother and the hospice providers. So I've said that I would be happy to be there to help with questions. So I'm very sorry to cut this short, but it seemed when a friend asked, you say yes, especially to end of life and helping.
Into anything, right?
Into
that a friend
anything,
needs that is legal, right?
So I'm sorry to leave you in a little bit of the lurch at the end, but I bet we can cover it.
I think we can cover it. And also, advocacy is one of our cornerstones here, and so that is in alignment. And so I just want to say, on behalf of your friend and her family, thank you, because walking down hospice is not easy. And it's always great to have someone there that can at least just be an advocate and a friend. So we appreciate that. So if you could possibly tell us about yourself in one sentence.
I am a small business arts entrepreneur and a community activist.
That was good.
Right down
All right. Did y'all get that? Did everybody get that? All right. So I would like to, I'm going to switch this question around a little bit.
Sure.
Just if you all don't know, I asked the same 12 questions to everybody, but we'll kind of like let them flow a little bit if I know a little bit more about them. So tell us a little bit about your educational background.
Okay.
But also, after that, your background with the UMKC Women's Center.
Sure. So my educational background is I am a graduate of the Kansas City, Missouri School District. I am 58 years old, so I graduated in 1983. And I have 1 year of college, only 1 year of college under my belt. I went to Mizzou for 1 year. And then family and business life took me away from my education. It's not that I've not continued to grow and educate myself, but I do not have a degree, and I share my truths openly.
I'm glad you did two things. One, you said your age.
Yes.
I feel like we have to completely demystify that. with adult women.
Yes.
It's like, why are we so afraid to
I'm
say
not
our
afraid.
age? So thank you for sharing
Sure.
that. And also your educational background, right? The whole purpose of our Feminist Fireside Chats is really to show like all the different paths of the lives that women take. So we appreciate you talking about that. So so can you tell us, well, you did touch on it a little bit,
Mhm.
what made you make the decision to leave school?
The decision to leave school was multifaceted. One, it was financial for my parents. I did not have any money going into college, so my parents were covering that for me, and that didn't work out after a while. They had a messy little divorce, and things didn't go very well. I miss them both every day, but that was kind of a messy little thing. And then I entered into my job for 15 years. I was a political consultant, and so politics kind of consumes you. And I've given you all the math, if you want to do all the math. I was in politics in the 80s and early 90s, much different than politics today. There are times where I miss my life then, and then I don't, but I miss the way politics was then versus now. I don't know if that's hindsight or what, but then I was a political consultant for 15 years, and then I went into a retail business with my sister, thinking that would be easier and different.
And less political.
Less political. And 27 years later, I'm still doing that, and I love it. We represent local artists. I've been able to grow my community involvement. Much like you understand the power of the arts. It was an easy step for me because when I was in politics, one thing I did in every city I traveled in every state and region is I sought out local art. When I was feeling lonely or sad or odd, I would just go to a local something then and find the local artist, the local handmade, so I could touch it, feel it, and just kind of center myself.
So if I do the math correctly, this means that you entered politics at the age of 19?
About
19 or
That's
20
19
years
years
old.
advanced staff, yeah.
Yes, and advanced staff. So
Mhm.
do you want to talk a little bit about that? I mean, I was young in the 80s, so that was when I was kind of coming of age. I do feel like it was definitely a time of great change. It was less of a circus.
It was slower and calmer.
Yes, I agree there.
And I think that's not a bad thing. I think sometimes we move right now at warp speed, and it's dangerous. At that time, if someone gave you a phone call, you would answer whatever their concern was in politics in the way that it came to you, phone call. You would not send them an email or a text or whatever. So it was just a different world. Now, of course, texting on your phone wasn't a big deal. I'm so going to date myself. But it just was different. And it was much more civil, and people found common ground easier. And I don't know if it's the power of the internet and the phones and all that. I don't know. I haven't really put my finger on it. But the discourse was much, much more civil. And I miss that. I do.
I would agree. I've often said that, and I know firsthand, the things that people say on social media, they would never say face to face, because I've taken that opportunity a couple of times to confront people who've said things on social media, but in person, they're very different personalities. So I do agree with that. There is still something about the face to face. And also just a little bit of random history. The first email, which was called electronic mail, was successfully tested at UCLA in 1988. And I had my first email address my third year in college, and it was about this long, right? So, we have at Gmail. Mine was at jsums.edu at ccaix and it was another edu. And then in the name, it was just like a mix of odd letters and numbers that included my social security number. So that gives
It was just nightmarish.
because that was how we were tracked. We did not have student numbers then. Your social security number was absolutely everywhere. So
very public.
It was very, very public, and it wasn't anything that people could steal identity-wise, right? So, all right, you touched on it a little bit, but a little bit about your family background and structure. Do you have siblings? Obviously, you have siblings.
I have siblings.
Because you have a whole business with your sister.
Yes. So I was raised by my parents here in Kansas City. They were mid-Missouri people, so they were from Boonville, Missouri. They moved around a little bit because of my dad's job. I've been here since the 4th grade. I had 3 sisters. My youngest sister, Lindsay, died about 27 years ago in a car crash. I would tell everyone in this room and on the screen, put on your seatbelt, put on your seatbelt, your seatbelt, your seatbelt. It makes a huge difference. It would have helped her a lot. And then my sister Casey and I, we were in politics together pretty much. And then 27 years ago, we opened a store named Stuff in Brookside, and that's what we've been doing since then. My mother was also politically active, so that's how I kind of got into politics and kind of went off on my own a little bit. Ran congressional campaigns, gubernatorial campaigns, governorships, state reps, all that kind of stuff. Very much involved in politics, issue-based politics, feminism, of course, all that.
So what you talked about your mom being in politics.
Mhm.
How did your dad feel about?
My dad and his father, all four of my grandparents were alive until I was in my 30s, which was an incredible, incredible gift to me. All four of them were, I can tell you for a fact, feminists. I had a grandfather who, if he walked in this room right now, you'd be like, that is not what a feminist looks like. He was a mid-Missouri farmer. He had more skin cancers on his ears and neck and face from working in the corn and with hogs. But he would look at you, and if you'd say, well, I just can't do this. Like, yes, you can. Women can do anything. And I remember that was just drilled into us, whether we were going out and working on the hogs with him, or he was a cabinet maker. Like, he could have made that whole thing from scratch. He was like, you can get on the lathe, you can use the drill press, you absolutely can do that. So you can lift that. Occasionally my grandmother goes, she can't lift that. She's a little girl. He's like, she can try to lift it. She has to know her limits. I mean, so that all four of my grandparents, a mixture of that. My mom's mom, she had a thing in her. All four of my grandparents never lifted a hand to us. But my grandmother Gladys, was very negative on abuse. I mean, she had one-liners that, she didn't pass for anybody who abused another person, men to women, women to men, and all of that. So, I mean, I just was surrounded.
Well,
I was surrounded. I had no choice but to be an active feminist.
I think that it's a wonderful.
And I'm lucky.
That's probably something that you and I share, and it's not a story that I hear with a lot of white women in particular in your age range. They were really trying to push and forge and have to fight against some things and all of that. And so I just think that's wonderful that you had that level of support. Has anyone out here had that kind of feminist support in their family?
It's a blast. I wish it for all of you.
Yeah.
Say again?
So start extinct.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you listen to those voices?
Yeah, that's them.
Yeah, they're amazing. And you, my dear?
Yeah, I would definitely say my mother was I think it was because of how limited her life experience was, because she was a woman. She made it, she was very adamant that I know my capabilities, even though she, even now, isn't so sure of hers.
Yes.
But you can share that same knowledge back with her. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you can?
Yeah, I think she sometimes is like marveled by the stuff I think and say out loud, because she's like, oh my goodness, like I gave birth to you and you're capable of doing that. Like you come from me and you're so capable of all of this. Of course, it's going to reflect back onto her.
Sure.
Naturally. So I think, even though I am my own person, I think I love that parts of me prove to my mother that she's fully capable of doing exactly as I'm doing right now. So
yeah, it's pretty darn wonderful. I mean, when I talked about how that I really had no choice but to really be active in politics, I remember being a little girl. My mother was very much involved in women's politics in Kansas City, but also in the state of Missouri. She worked on the original Equal Rights Amendment campaigns. So as a little girl, she would drive us to Jefferson City. I mean, I was probably 8. My sister was 5, and my little sister was, newborn. And she would shove us in some state rep's office and say, just stay here. I want to go do all my work. I mean, I crawled under the desk. We played under the desks in Claire McCaskill's office, who in time became a U.S. Senator. I mean, just stay here, girls. Just stay, lick these envelopes, put stamps on this stuff. I'll be back. I mean, I thought the Capitol was just a place you went to. And then I went back later and was an advocate. I have been there on behalf of the Kansas City Care Clinic. Being a voice and a face for those who need help. So
I think you make such an important and powerful point in one of the things that we talk about here at the Women's Center. And why it is so important for parents to be able to have their children at work sometimes, depending obviously if it's not in some kind of major, high risk. But that level of seeing as a child is really very important. Like I got to go with my mom to work and I remember just saying, this is your desk? Like, can I sit here?
This is your stapler.
Yeah, right. And like, these are your
You have your own stapler.
can I staple this? Right. Like all of those things. And then, they always had a big family Christmas party. Those were very big in the 80s. And so we would get all dressed up and it was like all these people that knew us and we didn't really know them, but I was like, wow, this is like a work family.
Oh, yeah.
So that was really the beginning of me understanding that like, you don't have to have a family environment, but it sure helps. And, my mom worked that job for 40 years. All of those people are still very much in our lives. And so it's just, and they're all retired now. So it's just very interesting.
They all have inside jokes you know nothing about. You can't
or know
understand
too much about.
Exactly right.
Yeah, so
Exactly right.
so I think that is so wonderful. And just when we talk about why it's important to take your children to work and for children, particularly women, for children to see that like my mom is more than just my mom. She's also this whole person who is doing this really important political work. So I didn't know this part about you. So this is really yummy to me. I'm enjoying that. All right. So I have a question that's kind of a spin-off to that.
Mm-hmm.
In your family that was heavily politically active, did you all have different views?
Okay, it's interesting. So Gladys, the one I talked about, who suffered no fools when it came to abuse. She was raised, I'm just going to put labels and stuff. She was raised Republican in Missouri. And again, we have to, Republican then and Republican now are two totally different things. And I didn't ever want to be one of those people that got older, because I'm still young, and said things like, well, it used to be, but it was different. I just cannot tell you how different it was. If you love to read anything about history and politics, even go back to the 60s, it was just different. And she would call herself a fiscal Republican, but she voted almost always Democrat because she believed in voting for the person. And which is hard to do when you have a Democrat ballot and a Republican ballot. So sometimes she just would not vote and she hated it because she called it throwing her vote away, which she was doing. But over here, she cared deeply about issues. She cared deeply about taxation and schools and abortion rights. And I mean, so it's weird. So none of them ever did this, tete-a-tete. Because they all kind of came out of that. I mean, my parents would be 75 now, so they were involved in the civil rights movement, which led my mother into equal rights movement, which led them. No, I think there may have been my mom's parents were maybe a little bit shocked, and she just didn't let it go on the equal rights amendment, which was never passed in the state of Missouri. But it's just interesting. It's just really interesting. But no, they didn't really argue too much. We didn't have family dinners that were ruined by
that.
No.
That's good to know too.
It's okay.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about stuff because stuff has grown.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the best gifts that I've ever received from diverse groups of women have been from stuff. So as an entrepreneur, first of all, you had two very different worlds.
Right.
And they have danced together, and really three when you add in arts to that. What made you all decide to open stuff?
So what made us decide to open stuff is a little bit of what I touched on earlier, which was we would go in our travels and we would seek out local artists. And 9 times out of 10, the people who put themselves out there were usually women who would put their stuff in little shops and all that kind of stuff. Coffee shops, they'd be a little bit more bold and say, I'd like to have my candles here or these flowers here and all this stuff. And then, Natasha, it was stupidity, actually. We thought that retail would be easier than politics. We honestly thought, stupid. We thought it gotta be easier. Because this 365 days a year, at the end of my career in politics, I was home, I'm not making this number, I think I added up on 68 nights in my own bed. Otherwise I was in hotels and sleeping in the floors of lovely places like this, the sofa here, whatever. Because a lot of Democrats I worked for didn't have a ton of money, and cheap housing wasn't even easier then than it is now. So I was just crashing everywhere. So I thought, I want to go home. I'm 30-ish now, 32. it'll be easier. We'll have the shop, we'll represent people's art, we'll pay them fairly, we'll pay them every month for what sells. We've never missed a payment, ever, for artists. That's what we do. We'll buy some things, we'll sell some things. So simple. 7 days a week is hard. It's as hard as politics. So COVID, the gift of COVID is that we cut it back to 5 days, and we've not changed from that. We now actually have our staff and us, we have a weekend. It is Mondays and Tuesdays, but it is still our weekend. But we, over the years, right now, we still represent 80% of what's in our store is locally handcrafted. It's just a ton. We're dedicated to American handcraft, Kansas City and our region first, and then we go out and find things from other places.
What I think is really important about your business and really how it was introduced to me, because I heard about it before. No one really talks about the owners other than it's the women-owned sisters. Right? That's
right.
always
The Stuff
the
Sisters,
stuff, right? But also, so often the work and the art of women is really kind of bastardized and not considered important or valuable. And your store, you and your sister's store, does such a fantastic job of providing this very feminine space of like, yes, your work and your craft and your art is not only valuable aesthetically, but also it can be a source of income for you yourself as a woman, but also for a woman who may be taking care of her family full time and needing that creative outlet, needing that sense of community. And so I just really want to applaud you on that. Chelsea, I don't know if there's any way to pull up the website.
It's scrolling.
Oh, great. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. You're very
Scroll
gracious.
it. Scroll it on live stream. Yes.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, Tasha, because tomorrow night from 4 to 7, we will have an artist in our store. Her name is Carrie Hayrock. She lives about 7 blocks that way. Her children go to school about 13 blocks that way. This is definitely a regional artist. She'll be in our store. She does glass work, and she will be with her torches and rods of glass, and she will be making art that you can see from 4 to 7 o'clock. So if you guys are out and about and you want to come by, of course there's snacks and things like that. But if you like to see women doing real work and art, you're gracious with all your compliments. Thank you. We love what we do, or we wouldn't be doing it. We feel very strongly that artists are paid a living wage for what, if they come in and they say, I need $5 for this, you're going to get $5 for this. And we don't discount what artists do. Artists work really, really hard. Women especially. It's an uphill battle for women in the arts. It still is. I'm preaching to the choir right here, but so occasionally, I mean, we probably represent more women artists than men right now.
I think that's okay.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I believe in equality. We're working on it.
Well, and I think it's also a thing of the aesthetic, like having the feminine or the female or the divine or the woman, whatever you want to call it, that aesthetic is at the front. And a lot of times men will say, oh, is this only for women? And it's like, no, but if you think that you would like to include your aesthetic, and so they know where how that can come in and where that can come about, but it also warrants this chance for them to think about how many other places do I have to show my work?
Right. And I'll tell you, it's a funny
women,
it's a funny little thing, because when people come and say, do you have a men's section? I'm like, well, I mean, we have over there it's a little darker, I guess, and there's some bottle. I don't even know why people do this, right? But we do. We have like a baby section, we have a men's section. But I always constantly, my big mouth, have to push the envelope and say, like, the men in your life, do they use bowls?
Right.
Because we have tons of handmade bowls. Yeah. So I mean, like, I think sometimes when we compartmentalize and put things in boxes, that's not right. I mean, it's obviously the wrong thing to do in my world, but it's like, okay, so let's look at bowls. Do they use soap? It's over here, and some of it is pink, but some of it's purple, black, and green. I mean, I get lost in this. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole.
The genderizing of color, the genderizing of products that we have to have, like men's products
have to be dark brown and black.
Yes, like this is, and really questioning that. What happens is that whatever a woman brings home, men use anyway. Right. They're using all the fluffy stuff. You're like, are you in my shower gel? Yes, they are.
It's delicious.
Because it's delicious, and you can still, like, having a lavender note is not, or a vanilla note is not feminine or masculine. So I think that's great in, like, just the challenging of that. but also recognizing that in a retail store, you really get to see, and I agree with you, how people compartmentalize what is Black, what is woman, what is feminine, what is masculine. Yes, there is something tied to that, but then when it's like this really rigid thing, I think they're going to be very frustrated in your store.
Very.
They're going to be very
That's
frustrated.
okay. It's an okay place to be.
Yes, we want
It's
them
fine.
to feel that. So let's talk about the location because it's really close to campus for anyone who may be interested. You can really pop on the Truist bus.
You can walk the trolley trail. You can do the Truist bus to 63rd, and actually you get a transfer at 63rd and Truist, and you can get right to us. Trolley track trail will take you there. It's lovely. It's 63rd between Warner Road and Brookside Boulevard. I mean, we're right there.
Yeah. So you can get.
And everybody gets pleased about the magnifying.
Yeah, your website.
To remind you to grow community and shop local.
Yes, your website is awesome, by the way, and it is so up to date. I'm jealous.
It's because we do it ourselves.
Yes. It's something that's within
We're control
somebody's.
freaks. Yeah.
How is it working with your sister?
It's lovely. We worked with our mother a little bit in politics. I worked with my father very shortly. My dad was hard-headed. He was lovely. I do love it. I don't mean to make it sound bad, but I couldn't work for my father. I work for women so much better, and of women. It's good. I will say we've made absolutely certain that our sisterhood is intact. We have had multiple discussions since the day we opened our business that if our family is going to suffer, we will close this place down. So we've always had the ability to maybe do a ton of work for 8 hours in the office, maybe have a little fight here at 3:30 or whatever. But then if we're going to a family birthday party at 6 o'clock, that's all behind us. Because family is different than what we do, and we try not to talk a ton about work, everything. So it's wonderful. We know each other's strengths, we know each other's weaknesses, we know how to push each other's buttons. So it's wonderful. It's not for everyone. We have, in our private consulting, we've had lots of people come to us over the years to ask us our opinions and to help them build their business plans. Sisters, mothers and daughters. We are very careful in saying it is not for everyone. You really have to know your limits. You really have to remember that the love of your family really does come first. You don't want to blow that over a business that's about dollars and cents, because most things are about how many zeros are past the comma. So anyway.
Yeah.
But you're kind to ask. She's wonderful to work for.
That is wonderful. I love that you said for and with. So what's the best professional advice you've been given? Now, clearly you've given a lot, but what's the best professional advice you've been given?
To always stay open to new ideas. I know that sounds like fluff because you can get really set in your ways. I am. I'm probably set in my ways. Sometimes I'm like, I do not want to learn another code or an app thing, or I don't want to learn it. I don't want to do it, but I have to stay open. And it was a dear friend years ago who said, just stay open to all new ideas. Don't say you're going to do it or not do it, so just stay open to it. And I will say in Kansas City in particular, I talk about this all the time, we are an arms open, not an elbows out kind of place. And I think I've seen that in not only in OKC occasionally, but it's everywhere. And so it's like, how can I, okay, I mean, if you just kind of go through life, okay, here, I'm open, and I'm welcoming all of that. So, anyway.
I think we should adopt that. We're arms open,
Not elbows out.
Elbows out.
Exactly right.
Okay, that is wonderful. I have learned that age is not contingent upon being stuck in your ways.
Okay, good.
So there are toddlers stuck in their ways.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so being stuck in your ways is really a personality, and that is something we can grow out of.
You're being kind, because mostly mine is only really about IT. I'm just
People
like,
too. They're just digital
what do you mean
natives.
there's a new phone and a new cord and a new, I'm like, oh my God, I just learned the old one. Anyway.
But let me
That's
tell
just
you,
me
but
being
that's
short.
the speed, right? So
It is.
that's the speed and the level of commitment that we have to something.
Yeah.
And every generation has these characteristics, right? That you are a part of your generation, whether you want to be or not.
Mhm.
And that level of like you learn it because you're going to use it forever.
Right.
That was how we were taught in
And now we're not
college.
using
And
it forever.
no, we're not using it forever. And so that is like, what do they call it? Electronic waste.
Mhm.
So I have all of these cords and things, and my best friend came over and they're like tucked away nice and neat. And she calls me Nat. She's like, Nat,
Get out of here.
do you even know what this goes to? And I'm like, No. But it's a USB cable
And what if I need
that
it?
might be the, she was like, but are you going to go here to get it? Or are you going to go
I know.
and get a new USB cable? So
That's true.
whereas there are other things that, like, I grew up with a very progressive mom who was like, get rid of that and bring in the new, because she was really into design and fashion and she liked those things. But it's like you have that component, but then you have like, this is traditional and this is mid-century. So I do think it's a great balance, right? And just because you go with the flow of things doesn't mean you have to like everything that's new or that you have to get rid of everything that's old. So I feel like there is something special about a balance. And we really learned that just in looking through our archives. And when Chelsea and I came on board, there were definitely some things we got rid of, right?
Yes.
It was definitely time to recycle and scan and purge. But we had enough vision to go, no, this is important. Let's keep this. Or we definitely are going to need this. Or let's archive this. And so when we were celebrating the life of our founder last week, Chelsea put together just an amazing slideshow of all these beautiful letters and all the things that really kind of ultimately showed us what mattered. So I do think that is amazing. And I will say that you all have done a great job of shifting and
absolutely. Thank you.
growing
Yeah.
and just over the years, because stuff has been there for how long?
We've been in that location 21 years. Before that was in Westport, and then for 6 short months we were up west of the plaza.
That's what I'm saying.
Long
So
time.
like I've known about you all at least for the last 17 years, which is groovy. Do you think you'll move?
No, I don't think we'll move. We've had a majillion, gajillion, sextillion opportunities come our way. People who want us to open a store in Aspen, San Francisco. You want a franchise, write a book. I mean, and the great thing about opportunities is you research the heck out of them and then you know exactly what you don't want to do. So I don't think we'll move. We may get bigger, we may get smaller. We may just stay exactly like we are because this has been a good life for my family, my sister's family. We both have children in college. Her daughter's in college. Mine graduated recently. I mean, we're okay.
Mm-hmm. Do any of them, would they be interested in expanding or doing something?
They have their own wonderful, incredible lives. I don't think they're interested in
Neither of my children took any of the things that I love at all. Like they are all on their own trajectory, which I think is super groovy.
My son is a chemical engineer. I am not a chemical engineer, right? He's very personable, but I'm like, wow. So very different. But yeah.
My daughter likes animals. That alone is kind of the difference. All right. So what about the best personal advice that you've received?
There's a ton of voices in my head sticking it out. You just stick it out. You just, like I just mentioned, you run with an idea until you can't run with it anymore, and kind of sticking it out, whatever that is. I have a lot of people, a lot of family members in my head who live in my head, and we're not quitters. So even when I probably should say, "Come on, it's done," just a little bit more, give it a little bit more. So, yeah. That's about it. I mean, I know that's a good and a bad, but anyway.
I was going to ask you, you said that was your best personal advice that you've received. I feel like oftentimes that is the tough part about being in your 20s, is that you haven't lived long enough to see the other side of things, which is why stuff feels so consuming when it first happens to you. And I'm reflecting on my own. It's like, oh my God, I'm never going to get out of this school. Or I'm never going to get over this, or I'm never. But keep the idea of just the motion to keep going and getting on the other side of something. It's like, wow. Yeah. So I think that for me is what I realized is just such a great shift in wisdom, is that when you stick something out, there is something beautiful about going through a fire, because it accesses a part of you that you didn't know you had. And
then you learn why you stayed, or why you committed deeper, or why you dug in a little bit deeper.
Yeah. And I find too, sticking things out have allowed me to, when I walked away, to be completely clear of it and no regret.
I gave everything.
I gave it all.
I left it. Yep.
That's
I left it on the table.
Yes. So that for me has been the other. So I think that is some great advice. I want to ask you all if you have any questions or comments, because we are going to end a little sooner, but I want to give you all a chance to ask Sloan some questions as well.
It used to be Susan, but I got rid of it when I got married because every time I was out in public and somebody say Susan, 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 I wouldn't even turn my head. Airports, 5th grade classroom.
Everybody.
So when I got married a long time ago, you'd have to change your name or change all. You go through all that paperwork and I'm like, you know what? I could get rid of Susan. I used to be S. Sloan Simmons. And I just did it. And then I met my friend C. Stephen Metzler, and I'm like, okay. Then I was whatever. So I did take my husband's name. So it's just you're doing all that paperwork.
Yeah.
You just did it.
Well, I didn't change my name the second time.
But still, you're there doing paperwork anyway.
Which is why I didn't change my name.
Yeah,
I had so many. So for me, this is a great conversation, right? But for me, the only reason I changed my name the first time I got married was because my ex-husband had a chosen name. So it was really about me releasing the slave name. And that was the only reason. I would not have taken on another slave name. So I maybe would have hyphenated, but I took on El Scari as a free and chosen name. And so that was why that was important to me. And then, of course, when 9/11 happened, it was horrible for me and my entire family and for travel and everything. So having a hyphenated last name that is on the Patriot list is the worst thing that you could ever have. We're kind of coming out of that a little bit. It's still a challenge when my son travels, but not so much when my daughter travels, which I think is directly tied to maybe skin color and also gender. Because my daughter does not wear like a hijab or anything like that. Right. So she is not identifiable in that they just like, oh, it's another young Black woman with blue hair. But so it was that, but then it also, because I married young, so I married right out of undergrad, it was really, all of my career has been established with the last name of El Scari, and my books have been published, all of my papers, all of my business.
Yeah, no, I know. I married in my 20s as well, and I was established in my political career, and I thought, first of all, I love the name Simmons, and my husband's name is Van Dersen, and who would want that name? No, seriously, I mean, he's a wonderful man. I've been married to him for 37 years, but it's Van and then Dersen. And there's a space in the V is capitalized and the D is capitalized. I cannot go through life like that. I'll spend my life right. Van Dersen, V-A-N space, capital D. No one has.
It's horrible because mine is hyphenated, and people put an apostrophe
it's
instead of
awful.
a hyphen. And then when you have systems that can't read characters,
it's awful.
So sometimes they put a space, sometimes they smush it together. If it's case sensitive, they lowercase the s, so it's EL hyphen capital S. So and then it's such a difficult last name. They mess up the first name.
Right.
How did you mess up the first name?
Well, because we're just gonna mess it all up anyway.
Mess it all up. Right. It's like they see El Scari, they're like, oh, I'm so scared.
Yeah. We're gonna put the whole thing in a blender.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I told my daughter, I was like, please don't change your name. Like,
it's hard.
Give it. Yeah. And that was a challenge for my husband, who definitely had a more traditional view. And when I just explained to him, like, you're not marrying a 17-year-old, you're marrying a 47-year-old. And I've been very established in his career. And if people call me by his last name, I'll answer to it. But and then I just drop my last name on Facebook and I just go by Natasha Rhea. Just because I'm not tied to El Scari. Other than that, it's like my professional name and all my books are published under that. But my LTD is Natasha Rhea. And I'm saying that because I think like women have to think about so many things. Like even in our own identity. And I was having that conversation with my husband. I was like, if it's that important to you, then let's choose a last name. Is it about us having the same last name or your name? So so like let's talk about that, and then change your name.
That is so
Sleep
funny.
with that overnight and tell me how you would feel being Kevin Church El Scari.
I'll tell you what, that is exactly. All these years later, my husband has said to me, "I should have taken your name," and he's like, "I said you still can."
Yes,
you just turned 60, but you still can. And he's like, "I really should have." He's like, "It would have made everything so much easier." I'm like, "Yes, yes."
I'm glad it jumps into that conversation. I'm trying to keep.
Okay.
All right. So with all of this about name changing and things like that, tell me, what does feminism mean to you?
Oh, it's okay. Equality more than anything across all spectrums. So anybody can be a feminist. You know that. I'm not telling you this. She already knows. When people come, we've employed a lot of people in 27 years, young people, old people, across all spectrums. I mean, truly, we've employed just about every type of person you can employ. And they'll say, well, that's, feminism, that's for girls. Actually, it's not for girls. It's for everybody. It's for men and women, boys and girls. I mean, everybody. And so it's just, I hear, again, all the voices in my head, all the men and women ahead of me going, it's just equality. It's equality in all ways, for work, for worship, for life, for marriage, for children. It's just like, it's equality in all of its forms.
Yeah, the freedom to decide
For
and
yourself.
then to be able to do that thing,
And
right?
to stop hitting any type of glass ceiling, brick wall, or what the world puts on us for our limitations, which should be none.
Yes,
There should
That's
be no
beautiful.
limitations for women.
I agree. So we talked a little bit about this, about activism and your political background. What is your activism? I'm going to ask it again, and then how has it changed over time? Or has it changed over time?
It's morphed and grown. So my political activism has not changed. I have never missed an election since I was 18 years old. Never, ever, ever have I missed my chance to vote. I drove back from Chicago, Illinois in a snowstorm to vote in a March election because at that time I was too stupid to get the, application in the mail, ballot in the mail like I'm Friday home. I have to vote. So voting. I have taken all that I was trained and all that I believe about equality for women. I put it into our business. It's not my business, it's our business. Into our business, into what we do in the community and all that. And then we have grown it. We believe in civil rights and equality. We believe in equity. So that has grown. Our company has for years supported the AIDS Service Foundation and all of its organizations. We have been on multiple boards, the Girl Scouts, the UMKC Women's Center. We've just made sure that we are embracing as many diverse people and organizations, because I truly believe in that. If we don't all stand for each other and for something, then we're going to all be standing alone, and then they will come for me. So if I don't stand for you and for you and for you and for you, then when they come for me, who, right? So that's how we built our business. So like our season of giving is coming up, which is our holiday open houses. So it kind of starts actually next weekend, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We have our big holiday open house where the whole store's been redecorated, and we have the cookies and milk and punch and all stuff. And that benefits a cancer research fund that we named after our parents and our family at the KU Cancer Center. So 15% will go to that. And then there are 4 or 5 Tuesdays between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And on those Tuesdays, we'll be open where we usually close, and all sales online or in the store, 15% will go to 5 local charities. So we make sure that kind of morphs and changes. So this year it's the Black Repertory Theater of Kansas City. Love. MOXA, so the Metropolitan Organization to Counter Sexual Assault. The AIDS Service Foundation, which is a fundraising mechanism for those who are susceptible for HIV/AIDS and those living with it. One of its recipients for cash is the Kansas City Care Clinic. Kansas City Hospice and Palliative Care, and CASA of Jackson County.
Yes.
So children, women, health, and all of that. The only one we don't have in there is pets, but we're already doing it.
Do you have 1,000 pets?
No.
Okay.
My husband and I right now have no pets. The son is gone, the pets are gone. And it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of, not a quitter. I'm not saying I won't have pets or cats or dogs again, but right now it's really kind of sweet.
I will not get a pet because I am like, the nurturing that goes into having a pet needs to go into me.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I've nurtured.
Yeah.
I am in my 5th teenager, and I am such a saint. Only 2 of them are mine.
Yeah,
So,
you're a saint. You're definitely a saint.
And I just am like, I don't want to. I don't want to care. And so I think we have these magic years between when the last one leaves and before the grandbabies come that I need to just be like, it's my turn.
It's my turn.
Yes.
I'm going to take myself out for a walk.
Yes. You know what I mean? So,
And I'm not going to whine at myself at the door.
exactly.
Yeah, and I love them all. I do. I love them.
Yeah.
I miss every pet we've ever had. I miss my son, but I'm like,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm fine.
And I grew up with pets, and I did not have a single pet growing up with having my children. They didn't give me pets, but we were also gone all the time.
My mother was a better mother than I was. We had hamsters and gerbils and turtles. We never had snakes. We never had rats. And we had dogs and we had cats. I let our son have a single dog and then a single dog. I mean,
That's pretty
unfortunately,
good.
the first dog, which was fantastic, and the second dog, which was fantastic, but I'm like, that one's gone. When you're ready, sweetie, we'll get another dog. And then we got another dog. But I was just like, I knew my limits between what I wanted to do in the community, between my business, raising my family, raising my son. I'm like, I cannot do gerbils or turtles.
And they smell the worst. Like, let's just be real. Like, your house smells like a baby zoo.
And then I would meet these mothers that had children my son's age, and they'd say, well, I'm like, well, I had to go buy crickets. For what? For the tarantula, the rock.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No,
Not me. I've got other things to do today than buy crickets.
And you made a really interesting thing that I'm going to challenge when you're like, my mom was a better mother than me. And I'm like,
only for pets.
But your mom probably liked those pets. That's probably what that was.
Or maybe it just gave her peace for 10 minutes. We would go play with those while she finished all of this amazing thing she had to do to make the world a better place.
She's like, where your animals? Yeah. All right. The funny thing would have been had you taken one of those little animals to one of the offices and accidentally left it.
Exactly.
That would be great.
The tarantula.
Right. The tarantula especially. All right. So what is your favorite book by a woman?
All books I read that are written by women I love. I mean, I loved that question, but I'm like, oh, Lord, the last one I read.
Yes. So we recognize that we only have a little bit of time.
Yeah,
we should say what is one book that you really love?
Okay, so recently, Barbara Kingsolver wrote Demon, I just forgot his name, Demon Copperhead. Phenomenal book about Appalachia. An incredible writer. Even Barbara Kingsolver's early pieces are amazing. I just reread a piece about my Desire to Trample AIDS by Don Carroll, who's a Kansas City activist and writer. He wrote it 20 years ago. I loved reading it for the historical fiction, not the historical fiction, the historical fact of the AIDS crisis in Kansas City, of which I was involved for quite a long time. So any book, I'm reading a recent book right now by Elizabeth Schultz. I'm getting ready to read Jesmond Ward's new book. I mean, just like any book written by a woman. And then, I mean, I'm not picky, but all of the books.
All the books.
I can't get enough read.
One of my books.
I do need. I have
like
a couple
fiction?
of your books that I picked up at auction.
Okay. Do you have fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Oh, the Mama Sutra?
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
Yep. First
All right.
time I met you and your son. Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
That was a long time ago.
It's a sweet life.
It is. It's a beautiful thing. So you talk a little bit about your grandmothers, your mom, your sisters even. Do you have another shiro that you would like us to know about and why?
It's going to be another one of those stupid answers for me, which is yes, all of them. But like today, my shiro is Peggy Lowe at KCUR. She is continuing to cover the Roger Golubsky thing in KCK as being the voice for the women who were sexually assaulted and abused by the police department there. So today, she's my shiro. That could change, but it probably won't. But yes, all of them. Every woman or man who gets up every day and does the thing they think they cannot do, that's my hero.
Absolutely. I actually have a friend whose mother was.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks so much for coming.
Have a good evening.
You too.
In KCK?
Because she did it.
Yeah. I'm so thankful that she keeps beating that drum.
Are you all familiar with the story?
No.
It's easy to find right now
Yeah.
at kcur.org. Peggy Lowe has been the writer. She's been covering it for 4 or 5 years now. They just won't put this man, they won't give him a trial date, and it's time to set a trial date. So and she teaches here at UMKC in the journalism department.
So the story is he was a chief?
Detective.
A detective with the Kansas Police Department. And he actually was responsible for the unjust incarceration of lots of Black men. And in order to many women were raped and abused trying to get their sons out of the system. And now it's coming up also murdered because when they would not succumb to his advances. So
It's a threat. There's
It
been a
is
whole podcast about it at KCUR.
it's unbelievable, this story. And he, like, when they finally took him in and just, his wife was like just standing by his side 100%, claiming his innocence, also that she didn't know any of this was happening. And this is like 20 years. This wasn't like a single incident, like this was his way of life. So you have all of these Black men that have been incarcerated that wrongfully, like they were literally walking down the street being picked up, and then if their moms did not succumb to the advances, then he put them under the jail.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy to know. So anyway,
And some of those
she's my
women
shero.
got murdered too. So
Peggy
Yes.
was my shero.
all right, yes for Peggy Lowe
Yeah.
doing the work. All right, and then I know we just have a few.
Okay, we're still good. I've got
Okay, extra. Looking back now,
Mm-hmm.
what would you have told your 19-year-old self in the year of college that you, or 18-year-old self, that you were there?
I probably should have told myself that Mizzou wasn't a good fit for me. It just wasn't. And that's maybe with rose-colored glasses now, but I think I knew it then. That Mizzou wasn't right for me, and that I probably should have found my own way of paying for college. But I had other things pulling on me, and the ability to get into politics and to feel like I could start to make a difference and to make some money. That's it. I mean, my parents were just nasty. Of course, I said that earlier. I mean, they loved each other until they didn't. But I will tell you, my parents stood behind their children and their grandchildren their entire lives until the year they died. They both died within a year of each other. They came to my house for Thanksgiving long after they were divorced because their grandchildren and their children were at that table. So they were and are good people, my parents. I just think I was let down, but I'm 58 years old, I gotta let it go. I mean, they didn't do it, I could have done something. So I think I would have told myself to those words and I stick it out.
Yeah. Would you ever go back to school?
I will.
You'll
want
be bored.
to.
You'll be bored out of your
Yes.
mind. But you are exactly the student.
Somebody said, go get the easy something, then go to the MBA because you already earned the MBA.
Yeah.
You've done it for 27. I don't know what I do. I think what I'll do, honestly, when I do it, is just take some classes. I don't really have, I'm not saying like I'm high and mighty, I don't need a degree. I'd love a degree.
Yeah.
I'd also like to take a writing class, and I'd like to take a business class that teaches me a little bit more that I don't know. I mean, like things that interest me.
Yeah, for sure.
But-
Sure.
You know, I don't know, but I'm honest about it. I didn't finish it, and it's not been something that has held me back, but it is something that occasionally I go, Sloan, you probably could have figured that out.
Yeah.
While you're growing your business and you're growing your family and you probably could have grown your education.
Well, and I think this is so good for
Happy and healthy.
for the students to hear is that the resources that you all have available at the school did not exist even 20 years ago. Like it was a secret that there was financial aid available. It was a secret that there was tutoring available. It was like all these things were secrets. And if you didn't know these secrets, you could feel
What was that
very
office at Mizzou I had to go to? Bursar?
lost. Bursar.
They sent you there for everything. I'm like, what is a bursar?
Yeah.
It sounds like something like you were supposed
you
to pop
bump.
and put a Band-Aid on. I mean, I'm like, what is a bursar? It's a
Bursar.
bursar.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah.
It was lockdown secret stuff. It was weird.
And there was
Really
institutional help. There's so many different things that could have been available. And so for those of us who are doing this work now and saying, no, students need to know this, because there's so much there, but also it was a different time at the universities where it was like sink or swim. There was no swim class. They threw you in and was like, you gonna get tired of drowning? Good. And it wasn't like professors felt like they needed to support students, or I mean, you may have had glimpses of that, but in general, it was not.
It was different.
It was different in MU. I spent some summers there in a particular program. It was huge.
I
So
was
it
in a
easy to
geology
be
class.
just like,
Yeah, I was in a geology class my freshman year with 400 people. The lecture hall was 400. It was a weeder course.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was in it, The answer to everything was limestone. I mean, limestone, done, limestone, quartz, which is in limestone. It's just, but I remember looking around going, they don't even know if we're here. I mean,
They
seriously.
don't.
But it was in 1983. So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
long time. But yeah, take advantage of it all. If they offer it to you, do it. If you can come to the Women's Center, do. I mean, all that. So yeah.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm actually, for the last 17, almost 18 years, I have been in a writing group, and I've been working on some personal memoirs and then also some fiction, and I am loving it, and I'm actually looking forward to finding more time to do just that.
Awesome.
And it's, my writing group, surprise you, is all women.
As it
It's a
should
big,
be.
big shock.
Me
Yeah,
too. My writing group is all women.
it's wonderful. I let my
Yeah.
men read my pieces, and I always ask for different, but my writing group is wonderful.
And I will tell you this about writing groups. Writing groups produce books. There is something about writers that at the end of that almost completion and to publication, all these other things start swirling. It looks like life, but it might be some other stuff swirling. And writing groups are such a great way to be held accountable. So I'm glad that you said that, because groups, we call them affinity groups, whatever you're into, I think it's just so important. I met a woman that has a group where the only thing they do is take abandoned quilts and complete them.
That's awesome.
That's what this group does. And I thought to myself, how cool is that?
That's very cool.
I mean, they're always busy. So first of all, they're always busy, but it's something about the community aspect and the community push towards the end to get the book birth. So, well, you know, I do edit books and help
Thank
with
you.
layout design
I'll
work
let you know.
and release parties. So I just had
Thank
one
you.
with Jimmy Han, Creative Flow.
Yeah.
And I had that this weekend. It was so good.
I'll let you know when I get my fire lit on.
I can't wait. You're a wonderful
You'll be on
storyteller.
the top of my list.
Yes, I would love to. I'd be honored. Do you all have any questions or comments?
I was actually interested in coming here because I read your biography and on the post and
Yikes.
everything, and I am interested in going into the arts as well and opening up a studio, and I'm really, really passionate about community involvement and
Right.
engagement. So I was just wondering if you have any advice for someone who's trying to go into that field.
Okay. Don't not take the business classes.
Yes, that's what my
That-
advisor said.
Do that. Okay, even if it's a little business class. I commend the Kansas City Art Institute. For years, I've been an adjunct professor with my sister there in one of the departments. They call it professional something, I can't remember. And we would come in and just talk about finishing your art, getting it ready for market. What does market mean? How do you price? Blah, blah, blah. I think the disservice that has been done to artists for years and years and years is that we told them they were a fantastic painter and a potter and whatever, but we didn't tell them how to succeed in business. And a lot of people, when they enter into the arts, they actually, if they don't want it to be a business, it probably needs to be, whether you're a dancer or whatever, you see what I'm saying? Whether you make a something or you are the something, take the business courses. And whatever community you think you want to be active in, start getting active in it now. Kansas City, if it's Kansas City, it's rich. The Kansas City Artist Coalition, any of those KC Arts, KC, any of them, go to their events, get to know them, talk to them, stay involved with the Women's Center. All of that, insert yourself and see if you like it. And if it's not a good fit, kind of like a writing group, if it's not a good fit, step back out and go to the next one, and don't be fearful.
I would add it. Oh,
Do.
sorry, go ahead.
No, do. Networking. Walk into an event and tell yourself, I'm going to meet 3 people, new people. You may walk into the event, I may see you at something, and you and Natasha will be across the room, because we are seem to be across the room from each other.
And talking
Lately.
loud. That's me.
Talking about, you know us, we don't count. Go talk to him. Go talk to her and find a way. Just the best places are, this sounds crazy, in the line for the bathroom. That's how you meet new people. The line at the bar, even if you don't drink, get tonic, get just soda. You don't have to have alcohol to go to the bar. Standing in line, you just, oh my God, those are fantastic earrings. I mean, but tell yourself you're not getting back in your car until you meet 3 new people.
I think that's great advice. I was going to say, it's a special time when you're a student because people are a lot more open to sharing ideas. Like if they see a student at an event, they're like, "You're a student." It doesn't matter what age you are. They're like, "What are you into? What are you studying?" Like they're going to be excited and want to kind of help you with that. So I think that is a great time. It's never too soon. Also, I teach at the Kinsey Art Institute, which I didn't know you taught there, but I also teach with Interurban Art House, and they have a class called The Work of Art, and so I teach that or facilitate that too, which is a great free workshop that they offer about the business of being an artist. And I try to make sure every single one of the artists that I know take this course. They don't have to just take it with me. They have several different facilitators, but it is such a helpful class because even if you never go into it, it's going to change how you view any of the things that you do, not only as an art, but also to know how to push and promote yourself. And I think so often, whenever I teach a class, I'm teaching mainly women and mainly women of color. And it's so much barrier to get over this idea of you putting a number on your worth and value. When you've lived in a society that hasn't, or women asserting themselves and saying, actually, no, this is my art, or how to brag on your art. All these things that maybe women have been taught, people of color have definitely been taught, like not to brag on yourself.
Absolutely.
There's no way you're gonna make any money. You hear how she talks about her business. It's not like bragging, it's like this is what it is. Right. And so you have to be able to do that. So you came and asked the right question, and then and we're often at a lot of the same places too. It's a great community. So like jump in and dive in, and like you said, just it's no commitment. No, you can kind of just go, and people start to know you, and then the relationships do develop, as you then, oh hey, yeah, you changed your hair, or you got a new piercing. Like they're gonna remember that kind of stuff. So
just insert yourself.
I would say that too. Also, Chelsea and I both have had and have businesses outside of our full-time jobs. And so I think there's a lot of nitty-gritty to business that it's like, if you ever wanted to know what you didn't know, like so many people don't know about the Small Business Development Center.
Oh, yeah.
And it's here on campus. And it's free. And every state has a Small Business Development Center.
And it's funded.
And it's funded. But nobody knows about it. That's going into business. So just those things. So you're doing the right thing by even just asking the question. Yeah, I think that's great. Did you have something you wanted to say or add?
I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question in the clearest way possible. I guess when you were talking about kind of in your early 20s, going through all your hardships, just telling yourself to get through it, get across that fence. How does that make you reevaluate how you look at women younger than you and older than you, how you interact with them too? Because for me, I look at older women and I'm like, I'm gonna get there. I swear I'm gonna get there. I think it makes me super receptive to whatever, I guess, any conversation or sort of close relationship I have with an older woman. How does that make you reevaluate your relationships?
Okay, so however you got to your question, you did a great job.
Oh, thank
Whatever
you.
you took, that was fantastic. There is not a young woman or young man or older woman or older man that I have employed or have gotten to know very well that I haven't been their fan. I know that I'm a white woman. I know that most days I need to check my privilege at the door. But it doesn't make me unable to feel and learn and know what others are feeling, learning, and knowing. So I've had multiple run-ins on all the boards that I serve on. I take a chance also to humble myself, to go back and go, you know what? That was me. And what can I do to make that better for her or for him now? Because that was me struggling to get through college and I didn't finish. And that was me who went to 15 different banks and no one would give my company money and no bank has yet to give me a loan that's a real loan. So, and that was me. So what can I do to make it better for women? Who can I go teach? Who can I talk to? Who can I continue to scream at to say we need funding for women in the arts or women in business? I don't care what the business is, childcare, I don't care what it is. So I think you just have to, again, to use the word insert, I have to look at myself and go, what can I do to help them? And also just to touch on, if I wasn't them, that I was really close to what they are. And find the resources and be able to offer the help, right? The more you know, the more you can share.
Wow. That was beautiful. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry to have to.
I know you have to go, so I
I'll
just,
come anytime. You know I love this place.
yes. And we're gonna have you back, of course. I just wanna say on behalf of the Women's Center and all of our guests and friends, we wanna thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us. You all, please check out stuff if you can. And if they should ever want to reach out to you, what is the best way?
There's 1,000 different links on our website to how to get to me. And I manage 7 of the 10 web addresses, the email addresses. So if you put something in, I'll find you. And say that you were here. I sat through and listened to long. Oh my gosh, talked too long. I'd love to whatever. It'll find me. Chelsea knows. I mean, I think you've already used 2 of the emails.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
There's a
multiple
link
ways.
everywhere to find
Multiple
Sloan. Oh my
ways,
God,
yes.
you can't get rid of her.
Well, I am just so glad that you and I got a chance to actually fan out on each other again,
Yes.
but also to share your wisdom. And we're going to have you back again to kind of talk about a little bit about the history. We are going to implement a Founders Day here, and so we hope to bring all the people back that have been a part of our
You've
Founders Day.
had
Yeah.
a great run of board members in the past.
Yes, so we're looking forward
I'm very
to
lucky.
the future.
Are we gonna talk
of
to
that.
these guys?
We are.
Out of the way.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so
again.
much.
Yes,
Go team.
go team.
I'm gonna leave these Chelsea on the
Oh,
table.
perfect,
You can
yeah.
use them or display them. It was
Okay.
lovely to meet you both. Enjoy your time at UKC. It is the best school in the University of Missouri system. Hands down the best school.
Yeah,
I
dude.
agree.
Hands down.
Well, come on up. Bring a chair so we can all be nestled in. If you,
All of
whoever
us.
want- yes, yes. And just,
We are,
Take
we
that
are a
one.
little shy.
okay, well,
You're
don't worry,
fine.
You don't have to
I'll
be
make you
shy.
look good.
Yes,
I've referred people to Casey Care before, so.
yes.
Because it's
So-
awesome.
Hi, welcome to our Feminist Fireside Chat. We are so excited to have Casey Care Health Center here. And first, I would love for you all to introduce yourselves. And so, whichever order you'd like to go.
Well, we thank you for having us. We're always here to offer services to the community, especially to the students here at UMKC. Being a former student, it brings a lot of pride coming back and just showing off like all the work that I'm doing and just encouraging other individuals. Just to get that off the record or on the record.
On the
On
record,
the record,
yes.
yes. My name's Anthony. I am the outreach tester for KC Care.
My name is Jamal. I'm the counseling and testing services coordinator for Kids
You got a haircut.
Care.
That's what it was. I was like, something is different. That's what it is. Wow. Okay. I like both the looks. You look great. So it's nice to have you here. When we first met, we were you all have a new grant.
Well, so I was a prevention specialist, and my focus was more so empowering women to like. All right, so we work in sexual health, but it's deeper than that. So it's like I saw it as empower yourself because at the end of the day, you have the choice. Like just as men have the choice, women do as well. So that's the approach I took, and well, not still do now that like I've been promoted, but I still have all my community partners, and it's just you have to see it from different perspectives. So
Congratulations on your promotion, and you still hanging out a little less. Okay, so what you all have tabled here. So talk a little bit about what you all offer and what you want our students to know about, but also in the way that we partner here with you all.
So on the table, like now we have at home STD and HIV kits. We also, Anthony and I, we made like a brochure that has like safe sex. No, the little flyer for women. Well, it's a flyer on the table that has like internal condom. It's like an internal condom, external condoms.
So it's just a list of safe sex tools that women can implement in their sexual lives so that they feel empowered and are able to be advocates for their own sexuality.
And then we have like pamphlets and just like brochures. It's also a STD coloring book back there. We have candy, but more so when we do tabling events, we try to see it from like a whole person approach. So on top of that, we'll also do like whatever health topic that we want to focus on to just
And some of those topics range from getting vaccines to either be mental health. We did one where we did focus on financial literacy, which was a big one that we wanted to focus, because if you don't know how to handle your money, you don't know how to handle your health care, you don't know how to make sure you allocate the right funds for certain things, and then you're left with nothing, right? So,
Or even putting yourself in situations that may be unsafe because of your financial needs, right? As far as sex work is concerned, and then furthermore, not having the materials to protect yourself, not understanding or knowing that you can have those things for free by going to the care clinic to know that it's available, that the economics should not.
it should not be
impact
a
with
big impact on your health. You should get your health care.
Yes, yes. So I recently learned, I want to share this with you all, and I'm going to get it all wrong, but I did not know I did not know that women could take PrEP.
Yes, and that's
I did not. Did you all know that?
you did.
Kind of.
I did not know that there has never, in no time, I had ever heard that women could take PrEP. I have attended so many, like, I've even sponsored, like, when it first came out, and trying to just dispel the myths for men of color in particular who were terrified based on the Tuskegee study. I mean, there was a lot of fear around PrEP when it first came out, particularly with men of color who were contracting HIV at the highest rate, right?
Yes.
None of the literature, nothing said that women could take PrEP.
And still to this day, like even now, CDC says that everybody can be on PrEP, but the marketing tools are only targeted to one population, and that's what we face because we're trying to tell people about PrEP, putting them on PrEP, but the marketing tools say otherwise. So it's like, why should I believe you versus what's out there? So that's a huge thing that we face.
Yes, and then the other thing that I learned that I did not know, help me with the name of it, which is the medication that you can take within 48 hours if you feel like you've been exposed to HIV. PEP. Yes, I knew it was closer. So first of all, why do they say PrEP and PEP?
So
Like,
PEP is, we call it like the morning after pill for
Yes.
HIV,
yes.
more so. But like, PEP is post.
Yeah, so PEP stands for post-exposure prophylaxis, and PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis. So they just using the,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, I know why they did it, but I'm saying, like, I'm thinking of a person, thinking of a 15-year-old, right? Who is like, what's the difference? I am a first-time sexually active 15-year-old. I found out that the man that I'm sleeping with is HIV positive. I find out 24 hours. First of all, I could take PEP and potentially protect myself within 48 hours. Did you all know that?
I was wondering, so with PrEP and PEP, do you need to be prescribed in order to get them? Okay.
So you do need to get a prescription from a medical care provider. Usually, if you're trying to access PEP, your general care provider, emergency room, or Casey Care would be really great options to go to. Just keep in mind that if you do go to the emergency room, there will be a big bill attached to it, as compared if you go to your provider or with Casey Care or any local clinic that will be able to work with your finances.
And then like at our clinic, if you don't have insurance, there's programs out there where if you don't have insurance, you can still get PrEP because there's programs out there that can provide it for you at no cost.
And there are options for PrEP, so it's not just a pill that you can take. There's also a new injectable that is also an option for individuals. Since it is relatively new on the market, it is more expensive. Insurance will maybe cover it. It's just a whole process, prior authorizations, letters, back and forth. But if that is an alternative that is best suited for you, then I'm pretty sure you can access it. And currently there are 3 different medications for PrEP. There is Truvada, which is the original. There's Descovy and Apretude, which is the new injectable.
Now, I've seen commercials for those, and they've never referred to them as PrEP.
We have the
Because
Truvada ones I've seen.
Do they say PrEP?
I think
I've
so.
never
It's
heard
more like get
Truvadas.
prepped. It's like they use it in the sentence.
Right,
not-
but they've
they don't
never
call it
said
PrEP.
this is like PrEP. So,
also Truvada and Descovy are also like HIV medications, but they're stronger compared to like the preventative part.
so that was how the other two were like you can take this if you have HIV.
In combination with another drug. So with people who are living with HIV, they have to take ART, so antiretroviral treatment. So it's one component is the PrEP, right? So that either that be the Descovy, Truvada, or Apretude, and then in combination with another medication, just so it helps reduce the viral load. So the viral load refers to how much of the virus is in your system, and we get it to both medications collaborate with each other, so they reduce that number. Now they found out that PrEP, that part of the medication cocktail, can be used as a preventative measure, and so now we are using it to help individuals access it so they don't contract HIV.
So the information that you all provide, I just want to say like thank you for the work that you're doing. And is some of this any new information to you all, or just like better explained, or?
No, a lot. I think a lot of it is. I had assumed that like Plan B, you could get PEP like over the counter, but I didn't know you had to get prescribed.
And there's like, well, have you heard of DoxyPip?
No, I haven't.
So DoxyPip is more so for chlamydia and gonorrhea. It's like PrEP now, more so, but it's for STDs. But it's easier to get that than it is to get PrEP or PEP.
So you would use that. So let's say 48 hours after unprotected sex.
So if for which one are you talking?
For the doxy?
For the doxy?
Yeah, the doxy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am not completely
sure,
aware of
yeah.
like the logistics regarding that medication.
Mhm.
I know that individuals, after they think they've been exposed or after having a sexual interaction with an individual that might be risky, they do decide to take that medication for however long the prescriber says so. Yeah. But for PEP, just a clarification, there is a window period of 72 hours. So you have 3 days to start the medication. The longer you wait, the less effective. The less time you wait, the more effective. So it just really depends on your access, the day and time you got exposed. So just keep all that in mind as well.
And you have to take PEP for 28 days straight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, after.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay.
you started 28
See,
days.
and they didn't
continuous.
share that, and also did not share, theirs was 48 hours and not 72. And I'm not knocking any of the providers, but what I'm saying is like this kind of consistent,
Yeah, once it passes that 48-hour, most prescribers are hesitant, but at KC Care, our cutoff is at the 72 hours.
Gotcha. Wow, and those hours are not their actual hours. So I just want to reiterate that. So if you had a sexual interaction at 3 a.m., 24 hours later is 3 a.m. the next day, not 11 o'clock at night, right? Like it's not a whole day plus 8 hours. So you count the hours, not the days,
Right.
Which I just feel like it's important to note when we're thinking about that. Well, I have a question for you. Don't feel like you have to answer this question, especially for you in the empowerment grant and working with women. What have you learned as a masculine presenting? I'm not assuming your pronouns either way, but what have you learned about women that you didn't know before you entered the job?
Okay, so I was the first male in my role, and I was skeptical. But one thing that I was told would be women are more likely to listen to you as a male when I'm providing information to women that's helping them more so, not trying to like empowering them, not trying to take away, just taking the approach that it's your body, your choice. But at the end of the day, don't let society make you think that the man decides, because it's not the way. Like everybody has a choice. So that's what I took. And just knowing that when you care about someone and you actually, and they can actually tell, it's a big difference.
For me, it's more of an appreciation. I just really appreciate how those interactions with women and women presenting individuals come to the clinic. They are very forward thinking. They like to advocate for their health, which I really appreciate. We can have the discussions in the testing area when we're having them, and it's very different compared to like men and male presenting individuals, especially if they are heterosexual. They still have that stigma behind all the perceptions, and it just makes it very, very difficult to create the conversation in that safe space with them.
And
So that's what I.
to piggyback, like personally, I prefer female doctors as my primary care because a woman will tell it to you straight rather than a male doctor. So it's another one of those things as well. Like women will set you straight. The male doctor would just be like, "Oh, that's okay," but deep down it's not. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I know you all weren't expecting to be
Oh no.
in the front of our fireside chat, but since we had the time, I definitely wanted to. So if anyone is looking for you or looking for Casey Care Clinic, where should they go?
So we have two main locations right now on Broadway. That's the closest one to campus. The first one being 3515 Broadway, and the second one is 3501 Broadway. So they're literally right next to each other. If you want gen med services, 3515 is the best place to go. If you want behavioral health, if you need to pick up a prescription, because we also have our pharmacy there, or any STD testing, those include HIV, Hep C, or syphilis. We have those for free, walk-ins 9 to 5 at 3501.
And what are your hours?
Usually it depends for like testing services, that is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Gen med services, they vary. We do have
Monday and Tuesday is 9 to 8, and then Wednesday through Friday it's like 9 to 6.
6.
And Saturdays are 5 appointment only.
Wouldn't it be great to have the reverse hours, right? To where you all opened at noon and then went to like 10. I know.
I'd be like, I want to get home.
Not to work, right? Not for the workers per se, but when I think about, and I'm surely it's stereotypical, but when I think about like the time of day people have sex or the likelihood of when they have sex to be like, I should probably go and get this checked out. They're also in the work day. I tend to think about those things.
Which is
Why they have that 1 till 8.
No, which is why like we're trying to we're rolling out like the at-home test. That way, if you can't get off work, we have like a little website URL.
Or if you don't have
order it.
transportation,
Yeah.
you don't have insurance, you've just had that bad experience with going to medical providers, this alternative for individuals has been a saving grace. So we could get individuals that information that they need and the services that they need.
I think this service is so fantastic, and again, like you're never too young or too old to learn about how to protect your sexual self. And I always say we come to the planet as sexual beings. It's not a certain age and you just pop up and you're now a sexual person. Whether we're practicing within our sexuality or non-practicing, we still should know about these things. We should know before they kind of come upon us. And so I just really applaud and appreciate the work that you all doing. I really hope that our fraternities and sororities can know about you all, as well as the Men of Color Academy. I just think there's so many opportunities to table here on campus
And we
to
do
hit all the populations if you're
and we
not
do
already.
come out. It's not on a regular basis. I think our next big event is December 1st for World AIDS Day. And we're going to be working with the Rainbow Lounge
Yes.
and their drag bingo.
Yes.
So feel free to come see us. We'll
Oh,
have
yeah.
plenty of information, a few swag items maybe,
Yeah.
and plenty of treats. So
We love it. Well, we love it. And so last week I actually met someone who used to work for Casey Care Clinic, and she was just really this. We were at a social event, but she was sharing that she had been sex trafficked, and that was how she contracted HIV, and just she enjoyed and appreciated the work that she did within Casey Care. So I mean, just it's like all the ways. And I said that's a story we need to hear, we need to know about, right? We think about that and we don't think about it, like, because we don't know it. It's not a part of our reality unless we've actually been involved in that world. So, well, I want to thank you all so much for coming and for all the supplies. So for anyone that, if you're unfamiliar with the Women's Center, we do offer women's period products. We offer condoms. We offer information from Casey Care. We're now offering non-latex Yay. That was one thing I asked for. I was like, can we get some non-latex condoms? Because I know that is also a need. And then different types of condoms for women. And we have a couple of testing items as well. So we appreciate our partnership with Casey Care Clinic. And thank you all so much. It's nice to meet you. It's my first time meeting you, but to see you again with your new haircut. So we just want to say thank you all so much for joining us for our Feminist Fireside Chat. If you know of someone that you would love for us to interview or someone that you think is impactful, please just let us know. You can reach out to us on the website and send an email. That would probably be the best way. There are also volunteer opportunities if you're interested in becoming a part of our volunteer team. They can find that information on the website as well. Or you can walk in and talk with one of our work studies or graduate assistant or Chelsea. My office is down the hall, so you probably won't run into me when you come into the Women's Center, but you're always so welcome to stop in. So we thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for all of you who came and sat with us and shared your questions, your comments. We really appreciate it. And Chelsea, we really appreciate you for all the work that you do here as well. Thanks. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good stuff.